Move, her move. I'm coming to fuck through. I'm about to shake this ass for the rest of 2022. Wow. Yeah.
I'm her big sister. My heart is broken for my little sister, my only sister. I am lost without her. We were all each other had.
Gun violence is gun violence. And whatever the disagreement was that night should not warranted the death of those two women.
Two young women thought they had finally found love and friendship in each other. But on April 10th, 2023, in Sacramento, their lives were stolen in a hail of bullets, not by a stranger, but by a man they both trusted. A man so desperate to protect a secret double life that he chose murder over exposure. This wasn't just a crime, it was betrayal at the deepest level. And when the truth came out, Sacramento was left asking, how far would someone go to keep their secret hidden? The two young women who were girlfriends discovered a shocking secret about one young man, something he had spent a long time keeping in the darkness. And when they threatened to tell the truth, he made sure they never got the chance. As detectives went deep into this unfortunate case, they soon uncovered what the women had to get out and what their attacker believed was worth killing for. These are the lives and deaths of Levery Pearl Robinson and Teresi Williams. This unfortunate story unfolds in the city of Sacramento, California. It is a dynamic city marked by riverfront charm, historic districts, and a flourishing farm-to-fork culinary and art scene that keeps its streets lively and full of creative spirit. In 2023, the city made strides in public safety. Violent crime fell by about 11%, with homicides dropping to 38, and significant declines in rape, burglaries, and assaults. Nevertheless, challenges persist. Property crime remains high at nearly 2,918 incidents per 100 residents, and Sacramento rates well above national averages in both violent and property offenses. The story begins with 35-year-old Levery Pearl Robinson, affectionately known as V. A native of Sacramento, California, V was the kind of woman who made you feel lighter just by being in her presence. Her friends described her as loyal, peaceful, and deeply protective of the people she loved. She was independent, reserved, and had been through enough to know how precious life was. Just a week before her death, V posted on social media asking friends what they appreciated about her, offering a rare glimpse into her hopes for a meaningful connection. And the responses were deep. Everyone confirmed that she wasn't flashy, she wasn't out to impress anyone. Truly, her dream was simple: to one day settle down and build a family of her own. But behind her soft smile, she was a woman carrying the weight of more than most could imagine. Then there was 32-year-old Teresi Williams. Lovingly known as JoJo, she was a force of energy, personality, and grace. A proud mother to a 12-year-old daughter named Veta. JoJo's life revolved around her little girl. Her family described her as the light in every room she entered. She brought joy, honesty, and unwavering support to anyone lucky enough to know her. Her laughter was loud, her smile unforgettable, and her love for life contagious. JoJo had aspirations beyond motherhood, too. She was a self-made beauty and fashion influencer and had even dabbled in music. Online, she shared clips of her rapping, dancing, and affirming her strength as a woman. But life hadn't been easy. Just 2 years before her death, JoJo lost her only brother. 38-year-old Sergio Harris had been killed in a mass shooting on K Street in downtown Sacramento. The loss of her brother broke something inside her, but she stayed strong for her daughter. She had to. But fate was about to deal her another unimaginable blow. JoJo and V were very close friends, and some speculated there was even more to their bond. They were believed to be lovers, and probably officially dating as well. But what mattered most was their shared history with the same man. 32-year-old Ricky Hunter was a trained chef, a familiar face in Sacramento, and someone who knew both women intimately. Many suggested that although JoJo and Lavera might have been romantically connected, There might have been more between JoJo and Ricky. JoJo and Ricky might have been in a romantic relationship in the past. However, JoJo's social media posts suggested that she had been single for quite some time. It was a tangled web of messy relationships that linked the three individuals to each other. But somehow in all that chaos, the two women discovered that beneath the surface, Ricky was hiding something he couldn't let get out. Allegedly, Ricky had been living a secret life, a life on the down low, and according to people close to the victims, both JoJo and V had found out. Although Ricky appeared to be a heterosexual, that is a straight man, it seemed he was secretly having homosexual relationships. This means that he was living down low while having intimate relationships with other men. The use of the term download suggests that he was embarrassed about this side of himself and desperate to keep it hidden while pretending to be straight. So, the knowledge of this secret alone, it seemed, was enough to get them killed, and Ricky was going to make sure of this. On the night of April 10th, 2023, just after 10:30 p.m., a series of loud bangs echoed through the 1100 apartment complex on Howe Avenue in Sacramento County. A ShotSpotter alert triggered an immediate response from the Sacramento County Sheriff's Office, followed by a frantic 911 call from a nearby panicked resident. When deputies arrived, they encountered a chilling scene in the dimly lit parking lot. Two women lay near a car, unresponsive and riddled with bullet wounds. One woman had been shot multiple times in the upper body. The other was positioned a few feet away, collapsed on the asphalt, her injuries just as severe. Paramedics were summoned immediately, but it was too late. Both women were pronounced dead at the scene. The complex, normally quiet according to the tenants, had suddenly turned into a war zone. Officers cordoned off a wide area of the parking lot, placing evidence markers next to at least a dozen shell casings scattered across the pavement. As yellow crime scene tape surrounded the building,
investigating a shooting that left two people dead in Sacramento County. It happened off of Howe Avenue between Northrop Avenue and Hurley Way. Crews got there around 10:30 last night.
Video here showing the investigation. Officials say two women were shot in a parking lot of an apartment complex. Deputies have not said if they died there or at the hospital. No suspect information has been released. We are sending a crew to this story, so please stay with us for any updates.
detectives began documenting the position of the victims' bodies, the vehicle nearby, and several possible surveillance cameras mounted on neighboring apartments. It was a chaotic but calculated start to an investigation that would unfold quickly. Deputies investigating a shooting that left two people dead in Sacramento County happened off of Howe Avenue between Northrop Avenue and Hurley Way. Crews got there around 10:30 last night. Video here showing the investigation. Officials say two women were shot in a parking lot of an apartment complex. Deputies have not said if they died there or at the hospital. No suspect information has been released. We are sending a crew to this story, so please stay with us for any updates. But even in the early moments of the crime scene response, law enforcement had reason to believe this wasn't a random attack. There were no signs of robbery, no indication of forced entry or struggle.
It sounded like fireworks, and that's what we thought they were because we didn't hear sirens for a while. But then once we came out and the two young ladies were just laid out, there wasn't, it looked like they were trying to resuscitate one of the young ladies, but it was, no good.
And most importantly, witnesses on the scene immediately mentioned a name: Ricky Hunter. Ricky wasn't just an acquaintance to one of the victims. He had been closely linked to both. While rumors swirled about the exact nature of those relationships, multiple people on the scene told deputies that Ricky had a falling out with the women and that he might have been upset with him over something personal. Detectives began treating him as a person of interest within hours. Meanwhile, forensic teams combed the area for clues. Surveillance footage was pulled from nearby apartment complexes and businesses. Witnesses were interviewed late into the night, describing the sound of multiple gunshots, followed by the sight of a man fleeing the scene. The gunshots sounded like fireworks, and that's what we thought they were because we didn't hear sirens for a while. But then once we came out and the two young ladies were just laid out, there wasn't, it looked like they were trying to resuscitate one of the young ladies, but it was, no good. Some even provided descriptions of the suspect's clothing and vehicle, and this led to a big break. By the morning of April 11th, detectives had secured more than just witness accounts. They had compelling leads pointing directly to Ricky Hunter. Text messages recovered from one of the victim's phones revealed recent and incriminating communication with Ricky. There were tensions, disagreements, and even veiled threats. It was enough for authorities to pursue an arrest warrant, but something even worse had happened. Ricky had disappeared. The Sacramento County Sheriff's Office issued a regional alert and began searching for him using phone records, vehicle license plates, and known locations he frequented. By early afternoon, detectives had narrowed his location down to a commercial district near Ardan Fair Mall, a shopping area not far from where the shooting occurred. Then they went in for him. Ricky was spotted entering an AT&T store, likely unaware that law enforcement was...
So this actually is related to the homicide from earlier on kind of two-round activation at the apartment complex on 1100 Howe. We also received several 911 calls. From there, deputies discovered 2 females that were shot. Both were actually declared deceased at the scene. So from there, obviously, a homicide investigation ensued. It's been going on all day, all night. Detectives were able to identify 32-year-old Ricky Hunter as the suspect. They were able to, again, work up all the information they needed to obtain an arrest warrant for both homicides for him. From there, detectives were able to track him to this area right here. Obviously, this falls under SAC PD's jurisdiction. This is where that collaboration comes in, working seamlessly with our partnering agencies, that they were also responding to a similar type call of what we were going to. So very seamless in terms of that portion of it. From there, deputies spotted him inside the AT&T store back here. Rather than try to apprehend a potentially armed subject inside the store with a lot of people, waited for him to actually get inside of his car, tried to arrest him inside the car. From there, he actually grabbed a shotgun, turned it on himself, shot himself in the chest.
Already closing in. Deputies set up a perimeter and warned surrounding businesses to shelter in place. Their objective was to arrest him safely without endangering customers or staff inside the store. They waited patiently, watching every move. Ricky eventually exited the store and returned to his vehicle. That's when deputies made their move. As they approached, Ricky opened his car door, reached inside, and pulled out a shotgun. Before deputies could react, he did something that no one saw coming. Ricky Hunter turned the weapon on himself and fired a single round into his chest. The arrest they had been preparing for turned into a medical emergency. Officers immediately applied a chest seal to Ricky's wound and called for an ambulance. Despite their efforts to stabilize him at the scene, Ricky was transported to a local hospital in critical condition. Within hours, he was pronounced dead. With Ricky's death, the criminal proceedings ended before they could even begin. But the investigation into his motive and the question of what exactly triggered the double homicide was far from over. Investigators now faced a case that would never see trial. But they were determined to understand how this had escalated so violently and why 2 women were left to die in a parking lot by someone they once trusted. In the days that followed, law enforcement delved deeper into Ricky's personal life. What they uncovered painted a disturbing portrait of emotional volatility, secrecy, and fear. Friends, associates, and family members were interviewed to understand Ricky's mental state in the weeks leading up to the shooting. Some described him as off, noting that he had become increasingly withdrawn and anxious. Others said Ricky had been extremely paranoid, convinced that someone was going to ruin his reputation. The investigation revealed that Ricky may have been struggling with personal identity issues and feared being publicly exposed. Those closest to the victims soon disclosed that both Jojo and V had learned private details about Ricky's life that he wasn't ready to confront. The fear of exposure, especially within the cultural or community circles he was a part of,
the younger sister of 38-year-old Sergio Harris, one of 6 killed in the April 2022 deadly shootout on K Street in downtown Sacramento. bullets, ripping brother and sister away from their family just 2 years apart.
This is something that's going to live on with this family throughout a life.
May have triggered a dangerous emotional spiral, but one detail didn't add up, and it changed everything. Why would he go as far as to commit double murder rather than face the truth? Authorities continued examining text logs and online activity. Social media posts suggested Ricky had still been in contact with JoJo shortly before the murders. There were no public signs of rage or impending violence, just vague emotional updates. But behind the scene, investigators found private messages that hinted at desperation and instability. It's believed that on the night of April 10th, Ricky confronted both women in the parking lot of their apartment complex. Detectives believed the attack was premeditated. He brought the weapon with him, and surveillance footage confirmed he had been in the area earlier that day. What followed was execution-style violence. JoJo and V were shot multiple times at close range. Neither woman had a chance to defend herself. According to officials, both were likely targeted intentionally, and both were silenced before they could speak out. The evidence painted a grim and painful conclusion. Ricky Hunter had killed 2 women in cold blood to protect the lie he'd built his life around. Williams, the younger sister of 38-year-old Sergio Harris, one of 6 killed in the April 2022 deadly shootout on K Street in downtown Sacramento. Bullets ripping brother and sister away from their family just 2 years apart.
Sacramento apartment.
She mattered.
Friends and family wonder how this could happen to 35-year-old Laverta V. Robinson and 32-year-old JoJo Williams.
I'm her big sister.
Joshana Williams let the tears flow, sharing her love for her only sister.
My heart is broken for my little sister, my only sister. I am lost without her. We were all each other had.
This is something that's going to live on with this family throughout a lifetime that will never go away. And the tragedy didn't end there. A 12-year-old girl lost her mother. A family still grieving the loss of a brother murdered 2 years earlier now faced the unimaginable again. And a community already rattled by rising gun violence was left mourning 2 more lives lost far too soon. But justice in this case would never see a courtroom. The suspect was gone. The victims were buried, and all that remained were questions some might never be able to answer. The deaths of Laverta V. Robinson and Jurassic JoJo Williams left Sacramento in despair. V was a mother, a mentor, a force of strength. JoJo was a free spirit known for her sense of humor and vibrant presence. Together they were deeply loved, and tragically they were taken far too soon. For JoJo's family, the loss was compounded by the sheer violence of it all. She hadn't just died, she had been executed. Her sister wrote on Facebook that she felt a part of her soul had been ripped away. Her father couldn't bring himself to attend the vigil. He was too heartbroken to face the public outpouring of support. The apartment complex where the shooting occurred held a candlelight vigil in the women's honor. Dozens gathered in the parking lot where they were murdered, placing photos, stuffed animals, flowers, and handwritten notes at a growing memorial. Balloons were released into the night sky. Some mourners cried. Others stood in stunned silence. One neighbor who spoke at the vigil said that she couldn't believe that this happened right outside her door. After being gunned down right outside their Sacramento apartment, she mattered. Friends and family wonder how this could happen to 35-year-old Laverta V. Robinson and 32-year-old JoJo Williams. I'm my big sister. Joanna Williams let the tears flow, sharing her love for her only sister. My heart is broken for my little sister, my only sister. I am lost without her. We were all each other had. She had heard the gunshots and saw the ambulance lights, but never imagined it was them. And while Ricky Hunter's name was absent from most public tributes, his actions were the shadow cast over every conversation. This wasn't just a murder, it was a betrayal. In the weeks following the tragedy, families held private services to say goodbye. V's funeral was attended by relatives from across the states, many of whom wore purple, her favorite color. Fran shared stories of her generosity, her sense of humor, and her unconditional love for her daughter. JoJo's celebration of life was held a week later. The service included music, poems, and slideshows of her life. A local church offered its space for free. Those who couldn't attend in person joined online, flooding the live stream with heart emojis and teary messages of remembrance. There was no police presence. No suspects are being led into courtrooms. Just grief, faith, and a quiet attempt to find closure. But even as they laid their loved ones to rest, both families knew this wasn't closure. Not really, because how do you bury someone who should still be alive? In the aftermath of this tragedy, a painful reality remains. 2 women were gunned down in a parking lot by someone they knew, someone they may have once trusted, and all because of secrets. What was Ricky Hunter hiding? What made him believe that killing 2 people was the only way to protect himself? We may never know, but the consequences are irreversible. This case raises urgent questions about emotional instability, fear of exposure, and violence triggered by secrecy. It's a chilling reminder of how unresolved trauma, shame, or fear can become lethal when left unchecked. If someone in your life is acting paranoid, volatile, or obsessed with control, don't ignore the signs. And if you're carrying a secret so heavy that it begins to threaten your own mental health, get support before it breaks you. JoJo and V didn't get a chance to share their side of the story. They didn't get to defend themselves. They didn't get to live. But maybe through this video, their voices can still be heard. And always, always speak up when something doesn't feel right. Share this story to remind someone silence can be deadly. Let us know what you think in the comment section below.